Well, guys, I finally watched The Thing. This is a movie I never really considered watching before, but they brought it back for the 40th anniversary through my good old Fathom events, old reliable though. And wow, this is a very enjoyable movie. I'm not usually into horror movies. There's like a few exceptions, but for the most part, I feel like horror movies are just very predictable and don't have a lot of plot to them, and they rely too much on the shock factor than actually telling a good story, which is why I don't really watch that many horror movies, but this one I feel like is different. I at least thought it was very entertaining. It was clever, it was fast paced. It was just, I was on my seat from start to finish. I was in scene one, and you're like, wait, why is this guy trying to kill the dog? Just boom, quickly sets off into motion. So the movie takes place in Antarctica, and I think it's a very scenic movie. I don't know where they filmed this, but to my knowledge, having never been to Antarctica, it did look like Antarctica. They did a really good job at that. Reminded me a lot of The Shining's atmosphere. The kind of snowy wasteland, no way to get out. And we follow these set of characters the entire movie. Nobody else is really in the movie. They're like this military team sent to Antarctica on a mission. I don't know what the mission is. Just look at snow and stuff. They're researching something. Who cares? And then these Norwegians come. And they're like, we're gonna kill your dog. And they're like, nah, you can't kill this dog. It's a dog. So they kill the Norwegians, and the dog goes with them. Um, and it's probably the only time being nice to a dog has actually not benefited somebody. Normally, I love dogs. Dogs are nice. But I feel like this time, maybe that wasn't the best move. But how did they know? They were innocent in all this. They're just normal people doing no random mission. So it turns out this dog wasn't really a dog. It was this alien, the thing from another place. And it it like takes the victim and then is able to replicate their body. It's very cool. Kind of like a cliche plot, but I feel like that's very well executed. And you know, it eats them. Starts eating people, and is able to imitate the body so well that nobody else could tell who's a human and who's part of the thing. I love stories like this, It's why I love the Zygons from Doctor Who so much. So the main character in this is played by Kurt Russell, who I haven't seen in anything besides Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but he's a lot more young and hot in this. And what I like about his character is he has to use his wits to defeat the enemy, not necessarily. You can't just shoot it and it goes away. He has to use his wits to defeat the enemy, which is kind of cool. He comes with like a really good way of like finding out who is part of the thing and who's actually human by testing blood and dumb stuff to see if like the blood moves when you light a match towards it. Very smart, It's good thinking on his toes. Kind of reminds me a bit of Ripley from Alien, except they encounter different fates, of course. And yeah, so basically, this is an alien that's been covered in this iceberg like the Avatar for thousands of years. Just, we see its origins in the opening credits, which is like. And it was found by the Norwegians, and it killed them all and escapes. So, yeah, not only is, Kurt Russell very similar to Ellen Ripley, but I feel like the plot of it's also very similar. You're on this kind of stranded outpost, and the monster comes and starts taking you out one by one, and you gotta use your wits to defeat it. Very similar to Alien, though technically, since it's based on a short story, so technically the thing came first, even though Alien as a movie came first. I feel like Alien had to influence the directing style of the thing, like because Alien only came out 3 years before that. But yeah, so I haven't read the short story, but it spawned a movie from the 50s called The Thing from Another World, which I have not seen, besides glimpses of it at Disney's little, like, sci-fi movie little lunch restaurant. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. So all these like cheesy B movies from the 50s. That's the only time I've seen parts of The Thing from Another World. But yeah, I feel like this movie, it's kind of its own thing. while that movie kind of represents the era of B movie horror movies, this definitely represents the era of more epic scale horror movies, I'd say, though this does kind of have a very small budget, but they make it work. But yeah, I love how, you don't know who's the alien and who's not. And I feel like that's the parts when the movie is most kind of creepy, not the part when you see the big monster because you're like, okay, this kind of looks ridiculous. Because obviously the effects aren't as good as they are now. But then again, you could see the creativity of this monster. You get to see how creative it is. One time it looks like a spider, the other time it looks like a squid. You don't exactly know what its true form is. You always see it like changing from one thing to another, and I think that looks really cool. And you got to give them props. They didn't have CGI back then, so everything had to be like prosthetics and CG, like practical effects. And I actually prefer that to modern CGI. It just feels more authentic. It looks cooler. Looks like there's more creativity put into it. I also liked Ennio Morricone's score. So, most of his movies, particularly his spaghetti westerns with Leone, those movies have a very operatic, like huge, big, epic scale to them. While his music for The Thing was a lot more like it's very synth heavy, very 80s, really electronic, but I feel like, it works for the movie. It's very eerie. You're like doom, 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 doom. I don't know. It sets the tone right, I would say. I don't enjoy it as much as his other scores, but I think it works. Now, this movie doesn't exactly seem like a Hollywood movie because I don't know. There's no women in the cast, which is kind of strange. I don't think I've seen a movie like that. And the ending is a bit not typical. Usually not everybody dies in the end, but yeah, this one everybody dies. It's obvious that Keith David and him are gonna die. And they're like, well, let's just see what happens. I mean, I'm guessing they die. So pretty much, yeah, everybody dies in this movie, which is a little strange. I mean, maybe not by whole standards, but definitely by like 80 standards. There's usually the final girl or the final boy or whatever that makes it out, but not this time. Everybody dies. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It it's very culty, but also epic at the same time. I could see why people love it so much. I could see where they brought it back to the theaters. It aged very well. It's the first John Carpenter movie I've ever seen. So let me know down in the comments. One, what you thought of the thing. Do you think it's a good movie? And two, what John Carpenter movies should I watch next? Because if any of his other movies are like The Thing, then I'll probably like them. So yeah, and thanks everybody for watching. Click below and subscribe. And until next time, peace.